everybody. Welcome to Storm Log 4 of the Scudbuster Diaries, Flagler County Storm Chasers. My name is Ed Sharkovich. We've got a really exciting episode today because we have been sent questions from Mrs. Van Buren's second grade class over at Pearson Elementary School. Mrs. Van Buren asked her students this: what questions would you ask a storm chaser? Are you ready? Here we go. Question number 1. Where do storms come from? Well, storms come from water that evaporates off of the oceans, off of lakes, and off of rivers and streams. It starts to lift up into the sky, and as the sun starts to heat it, it forms clouds. These clouds bring in more moisture, and as they start to raise up, they reach a certain altitude or height, and then everything condenses, and it starts to fall back down towards the ground as rain. When these clouds get high enough and tall enough, it can cause hail, it can cause lightning, and it can cause some other things that we're going to start to see here in just a few minutes. Storms can happen individually, and it can also happen across the entire state. If you take a look at this, you've got all of Florida right through here, and you've got breezes. You've got breezes that come in off the Gulf of Mexico towards the east. You've got breezes that come in off the Atlantic Ocean towards the west. And these two breezes will meet somewhere in the middle of the state and will start to form all of these storms that we talked about in the last slide. If the Gulf breeze is stronger than the Atlantic breeze, all of these storms and clouds will start to form more over here. If the breeze is stronger on this side, it's going to push everything over towards the west side of the state. The next way that we start to get clouds and severe weather is when those individual clouds get really, really tall, they'll start to twist or rotate. And as they twist and rotate, you'll get all of these twisty-turny things that start to happen within inside the cloud, and that can start to drop what we know as funnels and then eventually tornadoes, and those can be dangerous. The next dangerous thing that can happen is the formation of hurricanes. Usually over warm waters, usually down by the islands in the Caribbean, you'll start to get a bunch of individual thunderstorms that start to grow. They'll all start to rotate. They'll rotate and get bigger, forming a tropical storm. And when there's enough mass of clouds and it's all circulating around, you're going to get a hurricane. And the hurricanes will steer their way, hopefully not towards Florida, but that's happened here the last couple of years. Next question. What is the eye of the storm? Well, when you've got a hurricane and everything is twisting around so fast, it forms an open spot right in the middle. And when you look at it on satellite radar, you can actually see where you've got all these clouds and thunderstorms spinning around, and right in the middle is an open spot. It looks kind of like a lifesaver, but if you were in a hurricane, and some of you may have already seen this happen, if you're in a hurricane and you are in the eye, you can actually look straight up and you can see blue sky, even though the hurricane is still swirling around you. So that is the eye of the storm. Why do we chase storms? Well, in Flagler County, we have a problem with not being able to be seen on Doppler radar. There are 2 towers, Doppler radar towers, that give Northeast Florida information about weather and storms. One is up here in Jacksonville. The other one is up here in Melbourne, and because of the distance between these 2 towers, the radar beams actually come way, way high over the top of the ground, and it causes a blind spot. A blind spot is an area that can't be seen on radar, and all of Flagler County sits inside of that blind spot. The blind spot goes up to 5,000 feet, which is almost a mile in the northern part of the county, and up to 10,000 feet, which is just about 2 miles in the southern half of the county. So the reason why we do storm chasing is because meteorologists and emergency management personnel can't see what's happening in our skies over Flagler County up to 10,000 feet. That's the biggest reason why we do storm chasing. How do we chase storms? Every day that we wake up and we suspect that there's going to be severe weather, the first thing that we do is we take a look at the forecasts that come from the National Weather Service and from the National Hurricane Center. And we take a look and see what they say is possibly going to happen in our area. This happened about 3 weeks ago. We had a nor'easter, and the National Weather Service put out all these flood advisories and high surf and high wind and rip currents at the beach and flood watches happening at the beach and along the intercoastal and along some lakes. And we knew that on those days severe weather was a possibility. So with that, we took our radar, and radar that we use, we either have on our smartphones or we have on our laptops in our vehicles, and we sit and we wait and we watch for severe weather to start to come towards us. Now, we know that since in Flagler County and some surrounding areas, there's this blind spot, we know that our radar is not the most dependable thing. So the next thing that we do to actually track these storms is to use our eyes. All of us are trained by the National Weather Service as sky-worn weather spotters. And what that means is that we have sat through a 5-hour-long class that teaches us how to recognize severe weather, how to watch severe weather, and how to report severe weather so that we can go out into dangerous conditions and tell the officials what's coming our way so that they can tell the public how to be safer and what to do in order to stay safe. The next way that we track storms is by talking to our friends that are storm chasers. This is my friend Monique. She's a storm chaser for the Scudbuster Diaries, and the two of us, along with another guy named Jeff, communicate on radios, and these radios talk directly to Flagler County Emergency Services, the National Weather Service, and another group called REACT that consists of a bunch of group of people that specifically want to help others by watching severe weather. Next question, what tools do we use? All right, our first tool is going to be the vehicles that we chase the storms in. This is my storm chasing van. Monique and Jeff both have their own cars, and inside all of our vehicles we carry the things that we need in order to document severe weather. Some of that may include digital cameras. All right, this camera right here is fitted with a lightning sensor so that when I'm sitting there watching, this little beam right here will pick up lightning, and when the lightning strikes, this tells the camera when to fire, so I can capture lightning. So that's the first way. The second way is with video cameras. This video camera here sits on top of my dashboard so that as I'm driving down the road, I record everything that happens in front of me. The next thing is with an anemometer. An anemometer. Did you hear that? So what this does is it records wind speed. As the wind is blowing, it blows through this fan. The fan sends signals to my cell phone, and I can tell how strong the wind is blowing. It also reads things like humidity and temperature, which is very important to know what's happening when a storm is coming your way. The next thing that we use is another type of video camera. This one records in 360 degrees. So if you take a look at it, it's got a lens on one side and it's got a lens on the other side. So when I press the record button on the top, it records out the front, it records out the back at the same time. And when we go to play back the video, you can see everything that happens around you, like you're sitting inside of a sphere. Pretty cool. So those are the main ways that we actually document severe weather. When the weather gets really severe, this is what we go out looking like. I've got goggles for rain and hail if it comes towards me. I've got a helmet for the same reason, and I've got that 360-degree camera mounted to the top of my head. Not only that, but I wear a rain suit so I stay pretty dry, but when weather gets really severe, this is how we dress. What's it like to chase a storm? Well, it's exciting. It's also mentally challenging. There's a lot of thinking that has to come into play when you're going out looking for severe weather. You have to know what you're looking at. You have to know what's safe, what's not safe. You have to be able to read the radar, read the sky, read how the air is moving so that you know exactly what direction the storm is coming in. And that part is actually exciting. It's also gratifying. And gratifying means that it makes you feel good on the inside. And because we have this gap or blind spot in Flagler County for severe weather, it means that people like you and like us may not necessarily know that severe weather is coming our way. So the gratifying part, or the part that makes us feel really good on the inside, is knowing that we're out there trying to do good things for everybody else by watching severe weather. And if we see stuff coming our way that's bad, calling the authorities so that they can alert everybody. So that is the best part about what we do. How do we survive in a storm? There are some parts of storms that are extremely dangerous. Lightning is extremely dangerous. Tornadoes, extremely dangerous. And high winds, also extremely dangerous. The best thing that we do to survive in a storm is to always have a plan for safety. We always know exactly how far away our cars are, and we know at what point we need to get back to our cars so that we're not going to get hurt. We love storm chasing, and we all want to be able to storm chase for a really long time. We don't want anything bad to happen to us or our friends, so we always know where our cars are, how long it's going to take to get back to them, and we also know that we have the availability and an opportunity to go inside a nice, good, sturdy building in case something severe comes our way. What's the worst storm that we have ever chased? Well, I would say that certainly Hurricane Matthew was pretty severe. Hurricane Irma was pretty severe. But the storm that I'm going to tell you about was a storm that caught me by surprise. There was one day that I was in Palm Coast, and on my radar I saw that there was a severe storm that was coming into St. Augustine, which is to the north. So if you look down here on the radar, you can see where it says Marineland. This blue circle is me. It's my location on the radar. This road right here leads up towards St. Augustine. And as I started to head north towards that storm, I saw that there was going to be hail. And I love seeing hail, even though it can get kind of big and it can get kind of dangerous. I knew I was going to be staying in my car, so I would be safe. But as I started to get north towards St. Augustine, the storm that had hail in it suddenly was given this red box. You can see there's a yellow box, which means a severe thunderstorm. The red box means tornado warning. Tornado warning means that there's a tornado on the ground and it's going to be somewhere inside this red box. Well, unfortunately, I had just gotten up to this area right here when they put a red box around it. Otherwise, I would have gone in a different direction. But since that didn't happen, I slowed the vehicle down knowing that somewhere was going to be a tornado, and then all of a sudden in front of me, there it was. It came straight across the road. The trees bent way over, and it actually hit the front of my van, tearing a piece of the plastic off the front and throwing it into the woods. It wound up being an EF1 tornado, and EF1 tornadoes are between 86 and 111 miles per hour. And if you take a look at some of these pictures, you can see there's a state trooper here, but it took these trees and actually broke them off in the woods and threw them across the road. It blocked both lanes of the road. All these cars over here had to go in the median to get around it. And when you took a look in the woods, there were these trees that were downed everywhere. So I actually got to see an EF1 tornado right in front of me. It hit the front of the van, and I got very, very lucky. So even though that storm was not as big as, say, a Hurricane Matthew or a Hurricane Irma, the fact that it caught me off guard and it was very dangerous, I would say that that is the most severe storm that I've ever seen so far. What can a storm chaser do? Storm chasers can see some amazing things. If you love weather and you love storms, man, that is the thing to see. We can also document severe weather, so we can kind of act like scientists and give information to the scientists so that they can understand weather better. We can work with emergency personnel, firemen, policemen, and EMTs in case there are people that have injuries. And we can help protect the public by delivering messages when there is severe weather so that they can seek safety. And of course, we work with meteorologists and other emergency management positions so that everybody is safer because of the severe weather that can affect us all. Are you ready? This is my assignment for you. You've got homework. Here we go. My question to you is, what can a meteorologist do? You know what a storm chaser can do, but what can a meteorologist do? And I'm going to start you off by telling you that meteorologists are scientists, and they can work in a number of different areas documenting weather. This was a trip that we took to the National Weather Service up in Jacksonville, and this guy right down here is an actual meteorologist. And take a look at all the computers that he's got in front of him. The whole room is filled with computers. One of the things that we got to see while we were there was the launching of a weather balloon. So this is a balloon that's filled with hydrogen. Hydrogen floats, kind of like helium, but a little bit more floaty, if you want to call it that. And at the end of this string right here is an instrument package probe that they tie to it. And as the balloon goes up, that probe records data in the clouds. And then this over here is the Doppler radar tower. And the cool thing about the Doppler radar tower is that's where the beam comes out that records severe weather everywhere. So I want you to answer that question. What do meteorologists do? And when you have your answers all together, your teacher is going to let me know, and we are going to come over there and visit your class and hear what you have to say. We're very excited that we got a chance to talk to you today, and we really look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks so much for helping us out. We'll talk to you soon.